if we want to achieve our vision of the business that we want to create, of the difference and have the impact that we want to have, one key component in there is to really understand how to delegate properly. So this week, I invited a friend of mine, Nneka Roberts, who is actually an expert in all system structure for businesses. You know, the part that we tend to like a little bit less? Well, she thrives on that. And we have a beautiful conversation on why to delegate, but most importantly, she gives us the steps on how to delegate. So without further ado, let's go to my interview. Nneka, thank you so much for accepting my invitation. That was completely out of the blue. But the topic that we want to talk about today is so important for entrepreneurs. Before we start, if I could ask you to introduce yourself so people can know more about you.
Okay. Well, my name is Nneka Roberts, and I am an operations consultant. I work with really high energy, quick start visionaries who are expanding exponentially. And they feel like they're kind of like at a moment of glitchiness a little bit because their back office has been kind of like tape and glue. And so I support you with systems that back your brilliance.
Nice, because I find that in the entrepreneurs that I meet, many of them, myself included, we're kind of artists. So we're a little bit messy in our stuff. We want to delegate, but we don't know how to delegate. And when we do, we kind of do it in an interesting way. So why is it important for an entrepreneur to delegate?
So here's the thing. I think once your business gets to a certain point, and for me, I find that it happens somewhere between like 15K months and 20K months, you start feeling like you're in the middle and there's so much stuff for you to do. And it's not so much, it's the doing and the decisioning that's taking a lot of your time, a lot of your bandwidth, a lot of your capacity. That's like a breath of fresh air if you could take some of those things off your plate. So taking the stuff that you're doing off of your plate is one thing, but taking some of the decisions out of your hands is another thing. I think that's where entrepreneurs go like, oh, no, I have to be in control.
So true. So true.
I said that to one client. She was like, what? I was like, yeah, you have to, this is the part that's the hard part, right? It's always like, okay, I can get this person to do this thing for me. Like I can get this person to put up my emails. I can get them to post on social media, but having them make the decision about when to post or even like, you know, setting up your blogs in a certain way, that's the part that's like clutching pearls. And now you're like letting go of your baby and kind of like taking it to daycare and allowing someone else to take care of it while you go off and you do the expansion in your business.
So true. And like when I have this conversation with entrepreneurs, it's always like, well, what if they mess up? I'm like, they are.
Yeah.
Be okay with it because it will happen. And I'm like, you mess up. You'll also mess up. So yes. And I love the analogy of the baby bringing it to daycare because yes, our businesses are like our babies. So delegating a task is something, but delegating a decision, I love how you make that distinction, is completely different. So what are the mistakes that you see entrepreneurs do when it comes to delegating?
Well, what I see happening is some like three big mistakes. One is that they don't know what they want this person to do. So like they don't have like a list of tasks that they're giving over to this person. And then sometimes people do have a list of tasks because they know the things that they want to get off of their plate, but they're discrete tasks. They're things that's like a checkbox off of your list. And that again will get you to the point where you're getting things done off of your list, but it doesn't get the decisions off of your list. And so to do that part, and that's where really you see the return on your investment, is when you can start turning over an entire process to someone so that they can make decisions within that process to make it work the way that it should work. What you want is the end result, not necessarily the thing done the way that you've been doing it all along. So that's good to keep in mind. And then the third thing is if you are at the point where, okay, you've got your list, you did the processes, you have it all outlined, and you know that you're giving this whole chunk to this person. The third thing is like getting them up to speed and giving them, just like you said, giving them the, well, what's the word? The grace to make mistakes. You know, not hiring people in a reactionary state where you're like hiring for a launch or hiring for something that's mission critical, but hire them and get them to work on some things that are not mission critical first. And so when it is mission critical, then they're ready to step into that and you're ready to work with them together. Your trust is built, you know how they're going to work, and then you're in a better position to work together as opposed to you still feeling like, okay, I gave them this thing and then they did it and now I have to do it over.
Yes.
You're in a position where you can trust them and you can say, well, you need to tweak this, you need to tweak this, you need to tweak this, and you have the patience and the grace for them to do that.
Oh, that is beautiful. So the things that I'm taking away is, first of all, delegate a result and not a task.
Yeah.
And I do like that there's an order in which we want to delegate things for our team.
Yes.
And so one thing that I see with entrepreneurs is that once they start delegating, they actually wonder themselves, like, if I get this person or this person to do this, this, and this, what am I going to do?
Right. So there we have a mindset thing, right? We were talking before this call and we were saying mindset is where it begins. Yes. It's like, so the fear is now you're really having to step into your big vision. Now you're really having to speak to those stadiums full of people. I have a client. One of the things that I worked with her on is her time, and we cut down her hours from 80 hours a week to 20 hours a week. And in the process, she 10x her income as well. So now it's like, oh, well, now I have what I thought that I wanted. But what did you want to do with those extra hours in the week? You told me you wanted to speak to stadiums full of people. Now we can start to spread your message. Now you can work on getting your PR together. Now you can work on increasing people in your program. Now you can work on working with those high end clients. Now you have the bandwidth and the capacity, the breathing room really to create the business that you're wanting to create. And you get to step into your vision. I think that's what scares people and why they keep tinkering with the little things, because they know that once those things are gone, there's no more distractions. We got to play the big game now. Yeah.
Yes, and it can be, yes, now you can get more clients or serve higher end clients, or it can be, well, now you can actually enjoy life, which again comes back with the fears of the beliefs of, well, if I'm enjoying life, does that mean like what are people going to think about me, that I'm lazy, that I've lost that hunger, or now the real thing actually starts coming up.
Yep. Now you can enjoy the passions that you wanted to enjoy before.
And at the end, and I love how you say, like, entrepreneurs became, and I often say that as well, it's like entrepreneurs became entrepreneurs for the freedom. Somehow we've created a golden cage for ourselves and the keys in our pocket.
Exactly. It is in our pocket.
So must, let's take either one. It's like either one that fits, that's the one that's going with. What are the steps to delegate properly?
So here are some key things you want to keep in mind. First, understand your process. If you can get what you do intrinsically and that's living in your body out and on paper, then you can see the full range of what you want this person to do and what you want them to own in your business. So get that body wisdom needs to come out and be able to be transferred to someone else. Basically, that needs to happen. The other thing is that when you're starting to hire for projects before you hire for a committed person. So in other words, you want to kind of use those projects as interviews. So one of the things is If you're looking for a social media manager, for example, somebody that's going to do that, hire them for a project first. Maybe you want that person to organize the posts that you've been posting on social media. Give them that project, that little thing. See, and that project will see, you know, do they know what they're doing with regards to social media? But more so, are they a fit to work with you? Are they responsive? How do they communicate that something's missing or they're behind? Do they communicate it at all or do they ghost? That's the time in the project is where you kind of figure out whether this is going to be this can continue, or it's like, no, I don't want this person on my team.
So it's like kind of dating before getting married.
Exactly. Yeah.
Good analogy. Let's start dating first,
Let's hear from it. Mm-hmm.
All right. So hire for projects. What's my next step?
So no, before you hire for the project, it's get your processes in place. Understand what your processes are. Get your standard operating procedure, and it doesn't have to be tomes of paper and lots of files. It's just kind of like, this is how this process works. These are the things that this person will need to do. Then you want to, when you're looking for people, have a project in mind that you want to give to that person that would kind of lead to them owning the entire process. So if it's social media, then you want to give them a social media project. If it's, say, you want them to take care of your onboarding process, you want a project that goes with them so that they can interview with it. Once they do that and you see that they're doing it well, then you can hire them for the position of, say, your VA or your EA to handle your onboarding, or your social media manager to handle your social media. What you want to keep from doing is hiring people to be the social media manager, and then they come in and then you're dissatisfied and you have to take it back. And then you have to do it again. It causes a lot of, it's like note stacking when you're doing sales calls. It causes a lot of annoyance with the whole process. And then you get disillusioned and you don't think, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You find people that can't live up to your standards and you don't think that you could ever delegate. But you can.
Nice. And what would be my next step?
And after that, you want to start increasing the hours for that person. So when you're looking to hire, you're wanting to see the long view for a position, because you're going to be in business for a long time as opposed to just right now. So what is the goal? What is this person going to be fulfilling? And slowly grade them up into that position with more and more hours. One of the challenges with the VA culture right now is that it's based on like 10, 20 hours a month. And when you do the math and you pay somebody, say, like $200 a month, they're obviously going to need like a lot of clients in order to make money that's livable for them, right? And so what you're wanting to do is make sure that that person has the work with you, the capacity with you, so that you have their attention. They're focused on your business. They are aligned. So when you're looking to hire, look for the long view. What are you going to be building this person into? What's the position that you're creating here, and what is this person going to be growing into? Because you're wanting them in your business and you want them to be dedicated and committed. You don't want them having to take 2 hours, 2 days for a 15-minute task.
From there, can I start dreaming? Can I go back to my dream of the vision of what I want to get, what I want to build as a business?
Yeah, well, you actually want to dream before, because otherwise, why would you want to go through this process?
Okay, such a great point, because we often forget to dream. And to come back to our vision, to come back to what we want to build. But if I don't keep that in my headspace, I won't be delegating, right?
Exactly. No, you won't. It's going to be, you're going to find it too difficult. It's like kind of like thinking, why market, or why go through the process of learning to sell when, like, what is this going to get me? When you're learning to sell, it's kind of obvious. You're going to get the revenue that builds from here. When you're delegating, or when you're learning to hire, when you're learning to build your team, keep your vision in mind. Like, what is it that you're building? What is it that you're creating. And this is why now you have to have players and team members in your business that is helping you to build what you're building and what you're creating. So if you don't have that in mind, then none of this is going to really make sense to you. It's going to you're going to be caught in the, I'll just get somebody to work with me for 10 hours a month. And when you get someone to do that, then you're going to have a lot of churn with that.
And I think that is the key that we often forget.
Yeah.
We're so stuck in the fear. And it's like, well, like, how am I going to delegate? And do I properly? And is it going to be the right person? Da, 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 da. But when we go back to the vision, we're actually in a space and a mindset that delegating, it has to be part of it.
It has to be part of it. So I spoke to someone last week, a client of mine, and she's been hesitant to hire like an EA. And so I said, Sarah, she makes like over $500,000, an executive assistant. So she has a business where she's a service provider, and her business is such that she has a lot of done for you projects. So her team for the done for you projects part is there, and it's working, and it's sustainable and everything. But she is having to answer all of their questions. She's in the middle of the whole thing, and she's directing that process. So nothing can happen without her. And so I asked her, if you took yourself out of that process and you had like an account manager manage your each account for each client, and that person was doing the project management, but you were out of it, then what would that free you up to do? Well, I can sign more clients. I've trained my account managers now. They can take on, take on as many clients as I need to. I can sign more clients. I can start to really talk about my passion and really grow my business from what it is I want to see and change in the world, as opposed to just focus on project. It changes the whole scheme of things. And then it puts me in a position for those $100,000 clients, those 250,000 clients. And now I know that they will be handled well if I can train them. So then the executive assistant was, now if you hire an executive assistant and you're even more removed, right? You're even starting, I think this is one of the fears. It's like, if I remove myself now, will these people take care of my baby the way that I would take care of my baby? So now if you remove yourself from it and you have your executive assistant come in, and they're the ones that's talking to the client, like they take the client from that sales call and then they turn it over to the account manager. Now, what does that mean for you? And it was at least one client a month for her, and her clients are 25K a piece. So
that's actually such an extraordinary question, because it goes back to, what's possible. And often, why did I even start this whole business thing in the first place? It's because we want to make a difference. We want to have an impact. We want to impact people's lives. So, and it's, and I love that question. I am so stealing that question. But I'm so taking it on board, because it's such a question that brings us back to reflection. So then we often get stuck on the doing, but when I have the bigger picture, the doing becomes simple. And now you also gave us the steps to delegate properly.
Yeah.
And if people want to follow you, have more information on you, and learn how to more and better delegate, and also it's more than delegation. What you do, you help them structure their business. But where can people find you online?
Mostly on Facebook. It's pretty simple. I'm on Facebook a lot, almost every day. And if you've got questions for me, that's a good place to ask them, and I'll answer them in a live there. Also, if you need to book a call, my link to book a call is there. So that's my hub right now, is on Facebook, and I'm Nneka Roberts on Facebook.
Perfect. So I'll make sure that I put that the link in the description of the video. And like once we understand, I find that once we get the taste of delegating, it becomes addictive.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, what else can I delegate?
What else can I turn over to somebody else? Wow. It's the best thing is like going to sleep and waking up and having something done. And you didn't do it.
That, or true story, going to the spa on a Tuesday afternoon.
There you go.
And knowing that, you know what? Everything's going to still be taken care of.
Yep.
That is
yeah.
Nneka, thank you so much for accepting my invitation. And I really want to invite people to do the exercise and, take in the steps. And they could also maybe steal the questions.
Steal the questions. Go right ahead.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And thank you as well. This has been a pleasure.
I hope you like this episode. I really particularly enjoyed all right, what are you going to be able now to do when you delegate? And it really confronted me because there's things on my plate that I know are out of my zone of genius. I know I shouldn't be taking care of them, but I'm still taking care of it like a baby that needs to go to kindergarten. I love that analogy. So I don't know for you, but for me, that part was oh yes, okay. And the more we focus on what will I be able to achieve, what am I going to be able to do once I delegate more and better, it makes me want to delegate more and better. So I hope you like this interview. I hope you're going to take the steps, take the questions, because once we start delegating more, that's really where we see that so much more is possible. Thank you for being here week after week, and I will see you next Tuesday.